Step back in time with me to the year 1888. We're walking the dimly lit, fog-shrouded streets of London's East End, specifically the impoverished district of Whitechapel. It's a world of stark contrasts, where the immense wealth of the British Empire feels a million miles away. Here, life is a daily struggle for survival, especially for the women forced into desperate circumstances just to make it through the night. The air is thick with the smell of coal smoke, unwashed bodies, and cheap gin. The flickering gaslights cast long, dancing shadows, making every corner seem ominous. Every footstep behind you a potential threat, and in this autumn of terror, a real threat has emerged from the shadows. A phantom, a monster, a name that will echo through history, whispered in fear. Jack the Ripper. It all began on August 31st. The body of a woman named Mary Ann Nichols was discovered in Bucks Row. The locals were no strangers to violence, but this was different. The brutality was shocking. The nature of her injuries unlike anything seen before. At first, it might have been dismissed as another tragic but isolated incident in a violent part of the city. But then, just over a week later, on September 8th, another woman, Annie Chapman, was found in the backyard of a house on Hambury Street. The pattern was horrifyingly similar, but the violence had escalated. It was now terrifyingly clear to the people of Whitechapel and the police of Scotland Yard that this was not random. A serial killer was on the loose. Panic began to grip the city like a cold, damp fog. The newspapers, with their sensational headlines and gruesome illustrations, fanned the flames of fear. Every detail of the murders was printed for a public that was both horrified and morbidly fascinated. The killer was given a name by the press, a bogeyman for the industrial age. He was the Whitechapel murderer, Leather Apron, and soon, a name that would stick forever. The police, under immense pressure, launched one of the largest manhunts in London's history. Hundreds of officers flooded the streets of Whitechapel. They conducted house-to-house searches, interviewed thousands of potential witnesses, and followed up on every conceivable lead, no matter how bizarre. They questioned butchers, slaughtermen, and doctors, anyone with the anatomical knowledge suggested by the killer's grisly work. But the killer was like a ghost. He slipped through their fingers time and time again, leaving no clues, no witnesses, just a trail of mutilated bodies and a city paralyzed by fear. The community, distrustful of the police, even formed its own vigilance committee, patrolling the streets themselves, hoping to catch the monster their official protectors could not. Then came the night of September 30th, what would become known as the double event. The killer's audacity reached a new peak. In the early hours of the morning, the body of Elizabeth Stride was found in Dutfield's yard. It appeared the killer may have been interrupted, as her injuries were less severe than the previous victims. But he wasn't finished. Less than an hour later, and only a short walk away, the body of Catherine Eddowes was discovered in Mitre Square. This time, the mutilations were extensive and horrific. The killer had even taken some of her organs. It was a brazen display of contempt for the authorities. He had killed twice in one night, in two different police jurisdictions, essentially taunting them. The city was in an uproar. How could one man be so bold, so invisible? The feeling on the streets was that he could be anyone: a neighbor, a friend, a seemingly respectable gentleman hiding a monstrous secret. Just as the investigation seemed to be at a complete standstill, something happened that would change the course of the mystery forever. A letter arrived at the Central News Agency, written in red ink. It was a taunting, boastful message, full of grammatical errors and a chillingly casual tone. It mocked the police for their inability to catch him and promised more to come. The author signed off with a flourish, giving himself the infamous moniker that would cement his legend: Jack the Ripper. The police were initially skeptical, believing it to be a cruel hoax. In fact, they received hundreds of letters claiming to be from the killer. But they decided to release this one to the public, hoping someone might recognize the handwriting. The effect was explosive. The name Jack the Ripper was suddenly on everyone's lips, printed in every newspaper. It transformed the killer from a nameless ghoul into a tangible, almost folkloric villain. A few days later, another piece of mail arrived, this time addressed to George Lusk, the head of the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee. It was a small, cardboard box. Inside, nestled in cotton wool, was half of a human kidney. The accompanying note, scrawled and barely literate, began with the chilling words, "From hell." The writer claimed to have fried and eaten the other half. Medical examination of the kidney suggested it could have come from Catherine Eddowes. Whether this letter and the kidney were genuine or another elaborate, macabre hoax remains one of the great debates of the case. But at the time, it cemented the public's image of Jack the Ripper as a monster who not only killed but gloated, a fiend playing a deadly game with the entire city of London as his board. The police were no closer to finding their man, but now he had a voice, a personality, and a name that would haunt generations. The investigation was now a whirlwind of theories and suspects. The police drew up a list of hundreds of persons of interest. The public, desperate for an answer, saw Jack the Ripper everywhere. Suspicions fell on a staggering array of individuals. There was Montague Sean Druitt, a barrister and schoolteacher whose body was found floating in the Thames shortly after the last murder. Did he take his own life out of guilt? Then there was Surin Kalasowski, also known as George Chapman, a Polish immigrant and barber surgeon who was later convicted and executed for poisoning 3 of his wives. Even Queen Victoria's own physician was rumored to be a suspect at one point. Another prominent suspect was Aaron Kosminski, a Polish-Jewish hairdresser who lived in Whitechapel and suffered from severe mental illness. He had a known hatred of women and was eventually institutionalized. A senior police official at the time wrote in his memoirs that he believed Kosminski was the man, but there was never enough evidence to charge him. Each suspect had a tantalizing theory attached to them, a web of circumstantial evidence and speculation, but nothing concrete. No fingerprints, no definitive witness testimony, nothing to link any single person to all the crimes. The Ripper remained a phantom, his identity hidden behind a wall of rumor and conjecture. The final canonical murder, and perhaps the most gruesome of all, occurred on November 9th, 1888. A rent collector, sent to the small, single room of a young woman named Mary Jane Kelly, found a scene of almost unimaginable horror. Kelly was much younger than the other victims and had been killed indoors, giving the murderer ample time to carry out his terrible work. The scene was so brutal that it defied description, even for the hardened police and press of the day. It was the bloody climax of the Ripper's reign of terror. It was as if the killer had finally unleashed the full, unbridled extent of his rage and madness. The murder of Mary Kelly sent a final, profound shockwave of revulsion and terror through London. And then, silence. After the butchery in Mary Kelly's room, the killings simply stopped. The autumn of terror was over as abruptly as it had begun. No more taunting letters that could be considered credible. No more bodies in the dark alleys. Jack the Ripper, whoever he was, vanished back into the fog from which he came, leaving behind a city forever scarred and a mystery that would endure for centuries. Why did he stop? Did he die? Was he imprisoned for another crime? Did he simply leave the country? Or did he satisfy his bloodlust and choose to stop, living out the rest of his days as an anonymous face in the crowd? We will likely never know. The legacy of Jack the Ripper is far more than just a cold case file. His crimes marked a turning point in society. They shone a harsh light on the desperate poverty of London's East End, leading to social reforms. They revolutionized police work, highlighting the need for more advanced forensic techniques. And they created a new kind of modern celebrity, the serial killer as a media sensation. The case has spawned countless books, movies, and documentaries. Amateur and professional sleuths, known as ripperologists, continue to pore over the evidence, proposing new theories and new suspects even today. They analyze DNA from old letters, scrutinize police reports, and debate every detail with academic fervor. But despite all the effort, the identity of Jack the Ripper remains London's most famous, most chilling, and most enduring secret. He is a ghost in the machine of history, a question mark written in blood, a testament to the darkness that can lurk just beneath the surface of civilization. Thank you for watching. If you found this journey into the dark heart of Victorian London interesting, please like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into history's greatest mysteries. See you next time.